Welcome, this is where nerds come to learn things. If it's your first time here, click on the subscribe button and on the bell icon to get notifications about new videos. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoy it. Let's have a look and see what we're dealing with. Find the right screwdriver. Sorry about the glare, might be a bit bad. Screw there. The screw there feels a bit stripped, might even be in the right hole. Anyway, that one's missing. That's one of the long ones. Another long one. Another long one. So it's missing short screws. Right. Still has a hard drive in it, that's surprising. So it's a 160 gig hard drive. Maybe I figure it's water damage anyway. So let's have a look. I don't actually see much wrong with this. Yeah, I don't actually see a lot wrong with it. So I'm not in focus on my, here we go. More light. At least by eye, without, without using a microscope or something, it looks kind of okay. That's interesting. It's supposed to be an insurance claim job. No, it's like it's been a payout from insurance for this. Maybe I'm missing something. I'll have to go back and look at this thing. So I've been looking at lots of MacBooks recently, so I could be getting confused about what it's actually supposed to have wrong with it. Will it power up? No. Okay, maybe that's what it is. It could just be the battery, but yeah, completely dead. So maybe that's what was wrong, it just wouldn't power up. Been dropped and wouldn't power up or something, I don't know, but there's no signs of physical damage. So I think if I can get this thing to work, we should be all set. I think it'll be pretty good. I don't see a lot wrong with it. I'm going to have to go back and look at the listing. Okay, I've been and checked back the listing and saw what was supposed to be wrong with it. And apparently it was running slow, and the guy pulled it apart to replace the thermal paste, and it didn't go again after that. So after that point it no longer worked. So maybe they've done bad thermal paste, maybe they've not screwed something down, maybe they've shorted something out, maybe it's a bad connection somewhere. We'll find out. I will give it a go and see what we can figure out, but I'm surprised the hard drive's still on it. But anyway, usually that's the first thing to go. So a little thing with these, not everyone realises this, but the serial number on the casing here, that's obviously supposed to be the machine serial number. But there's also a serial number over here on a sticker, and they're supposed to match. This one's different, so the serial number here doesn't match this one. So I might just go and compare the specs on both to make sure that the machine is actually what it's supposed to be. Okay, so by checking the serial numbers out, I've traced that this one is a early 2011, and the serial number on the casing here is in late 2011. Now the listing just said 2011, so it didn't specify it was late 2000 or early 2000, it didn't say. So there's nothing really for me to say, hey, it wasn't portrayed correctly, because it just said 2011, and that's not inaccurate. So I didn't actually know which version it was anyway. It's got the same processor speed and types. It's an i7 2.2 gigahertz, so that's the same. It's got a RAM upgrade in here as well, so at least I think it is. Yes, it is. No, that's a 1 gig. That's a 1 gig there. Maybe it doesn't. I think I said it had 4 gig in it. And that's a 1 gig there too, so it's got 2 gigabytes of RAM in it. So the RAM's been downgraded as well. So I'll check the RAM actually. No, listing said 2 gigabytes of RAM, so that's also correct. They came out at 4 gigabytes originally though, so it's been downgraded, interestingly. So that's okay, there's nothing too bad about it. Yeah, it's correctly listed on in the listing, so I haven't been ripped off in that way. It's just some discrepancies there, but physically it looks perfect. I can't see anything wrong. I had a quick poke around, I haven't seen anything. You can see I've taken this connector here off and just checked these, and yeah, there's nothing obviously wrong with it. So it's a big good project. So the 8202915, and it doesn't boot up. There's a green light on the charger when I plug it in, although it's not the right charger. It's a 60 watt charge, not the 85 watt charger. It won't boot from that. It won't boot from the battery only. It won't charge the battery, it would seem. The battery voltages are being a bit weird. So I'm going to go through and do some various voltage checks. I've got some around here. I know that I'm getting like the 12.6 volts around here, or 12.56 or something like I'm getting there at the charger port on the battery. At least when the battery is not plugged in. When the battery is plugged in, it dives and it's a bit weird. It sort of pulses a little bit and stuff like that. But the battery voltage by itself is about 4 volts. When it's plugged in, it's actually lower than that. But without the battery plugged in, it's 12 volts, so it's not like there's a short on that line, so I'm a bit weird about that. Something strange is going on. Now I've gone over with a bit of IPA and just put some across the board on the top here, just to see if I can see any hot spots, anything evaporating. There's nothing obvious. There's no signs of any current draws, at least on this side of the board. I haven't checked the other side yet, I haven't taken it out. So I'm just going to go through and do some voltage checks on this side, and we'll see what we can find. And you know, it might give me a direction to go in. Right, so I've been doing lots of diagnostics work on this computer here now. The description of it was, I'm not sure if I already mentioned it or not, but the description was that they'd put new heatsink compound onto the heatsink and it didn't work after that. There's the description. Now, there's no sign of any liquid damage or anything like that in there. You may be able to see some liquid on here where I've been putting IPA on it to try and diagnose what's going on, see if there was any hot spots, but there wasn't anything. So I wish I had an offsite cleaner. Actually, I don't have one. I should get one. Anyway, so I've been tracing through the power rails, and I initially started out with a 60 watt MagSafe, right? Which I know is the wrong one for this computer, but that's all I had. I've now had a 85 watt MagSafe turn up, which is the correct one for this computer. It's got a different voltage on it, so it's 18.5 volts instead of 16.5, I think it is. So with a 16.5 I was able to do some diagnostic work, which is what this is. This is my notes on the various voltage rails. And with the 16.5 volt I was getting right down to about here. S5 state on those, S4 state on PP3V3. Yeah, so that's what I was getting down to. I'm thinking, well, it seemed to be that it got to a point that it wouldn't do any more. And it seemed to be that I couldn't find any actual problems, it just wouldn't work. So I thought, well, it's probably just cost of the MagSafe I was using, the actual power supply was the wrong one. Right, so I can't do any more until I get the right power supply. So that's arrived. I've then carried on the testing once that's arrived, and I got some different results, which is what I expected. So I was coming through, and what I found is that with the correct power supply, the S5 rate and the PP5 rail was S5 was pulsing, and so was the S4. S4 was pulsing and SUS was pulsing. Right, and I went through each one, and basically what I found out was that each one was pulsing until I got to the one which wasn't pulsing, and that told me which one was shorted out. Right, which one had the fault, because that one wasn't pulsing. The other ones are pulsing because they're trying to start up and sensing an overload and shutting it down again. Right, and I traced it back down to this one, the SO state on PP5. Right, so PP5 VSO. Now, so I started going through, just looking at components which could be shorted, and I could actually measure a short circuit on that line. So I was getting like 0.3 ohms or something. Right, so it's definitely a short there. So I started going through just trying to diagnose which parts are on that line to try and determine what's going on. Then I realised, hold on a minute, SO, that goes to things like the fan, the hard drive. So I'd already, when I first started doing the diagnosis, I had actually unplugged everything from it when I was using the wrong power supply, but I didn't do that again with the right power supply. So when I got the right power supply, I thought, okay, well, let's go back and revisit that and I found that by unplugging stuff off the board, it fired up. Okay, so I actually unplugged this fan, all the stuff down here. Right, unplugged all those things. So I plugged the hard drive back in again. There's a bit of a clue there what's going on. So let's plug the power supply in. You see I do have a green light, or maybe you can see it, I don't know, but dead. Okay, now nothing happening. So try it again. Still dead. Unplug that. Oh look, it now starts up. Alright, so I found that by trial and error. See the hard drive going. It does boot. The screen does work. I've actually had it booting. Well, half booting. I actually haven't had to boot it off a flash drive, which is a 10.11 installer, and that booted up and actually want to install. But this cable's stuffed. Now I actually traced it back down to. Right, see bongs and that's all working. Alright, so I've got the thing to actually work again. The screen looks fine. The graphics don't look like I've got a problem, and the graphics is a big problem on this particular model computer. Now if I take this bracket here right off, I'll show you what I found. If I can get the screw out far enough, that'd be great. Okay, so right here on this flex, right there, can you see that tear in there? There's a tear right there. Can you see that? Now, if I pulled this around a little bit and got it off the board, lift it out, you can see the tear. So someone's actually pulled the hard drive out and they've torn the flex. And what's happening is when I had the, once I removed the bracket to stop pushing that flex down, even if it was plugged in, it'll still start up. So let's just do it again. Now I've lifted it off the board. Still want to start now? Yep, see, it will still start. Okay, even though it's plugged in, because that flex is shorting out onto the chassis. Alright, so that part of the problem is fixed. Okay, I've identified that it's the flex cable, so that's not a problem. I've ordered some more, so I've just got to wait for them to arrive, and I'll be able to replace that cable. I'll replace this hard drive with a an SSD. I'm probably going to keep this computer for myself. But we'll see. I've purchased. I've got 4 here now, and I've got another one. I think 1 or 2 coming, something like that. And this is a really nice 15-inch, really good condition. So I'm going to keep this one myself. It's only got 2 gig of RAM in it, but I've got other computers there. I'll probably store some RAM and keep the most of RAM for myself, and I'll sell the other one with less RAM in it if I can fix it. Now, so obviously I was going to fix that. Now the other problem is this battery doesn't charge. That's why it's not plugged in. Alright, it's showing as being pretty much dead. The charge light doesn't come on. So unplug that. I just don't like the habit. That cable being like it is. Alright, so I can plug that in and stick this on, and it stays on a green light. It doesn't actually go to orange. There is no charging. So I think the battery itself has had it. I've tried doing an EMC reset and stuff like that, but I've had no luck. Alright, and the battery does not run the machine. It's just completely dead. So I might actually try and see if I can find a way of charging the battery externally to the machine. Obviously the machine is not charging the battery, it's not turning that circuit on. So I'm going to probe around on here. Actually I'll do it now while I'm thinking about it. And we'll see if we can get, if I can measure the actual battery voltage, then I might be able to hook it up some way to allow me to actually charge it. 0.2 volts. 0.2 volts. That's looking pretty damn flat. Yeah. So I know these are the battery lines. It looks like they go straight to it. So this battery is very, very drained. So I don't know if they actually. Yeah, I think they're all just linked together inside each ribbon. So it's got individual wires. But if I might try putting power onto those and charging the battery up, and I'll just see if I can charge it manually, although I reckon it's probably stuffed. I've already ordered another one. I've purchased one, I'm waiting for it to arrive as well, but I'll try charging it and see if I can rescue it, because I'd rather do that. Well, not much success with this. Success, I should try and say it. So I'm still using these probes here, but if I shove those in, I've got my power supply set at 11 volts. This is a 10.95 volt battery pack, so it should be perfectly safe at that voltage. And I'm going across the supply rail of the battery, and I'm only doing like 9 milliamps. So yeah, that's going to take forever to charge up at that rate. Obviously the electronics inside are switching the bloody thing on and off, so I don't know if I can recover this battery or not. I could try, but I really doubt it. If I put the voltage up to say 12 volts instead, don't forget the battery charge voltage on the laptop is 12.5 or 12.6 or something. So that's 11 milliamps there, 12 volts. Let's go slightly more. 12.6, still 11 milliamps. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Right, I suppose I should demonstrate this thing actually trying to charge, just to prove it, well, trying to power up. You can see the screen actually goes. Right, fans are spinning. Sorry about the reflection of the light, I'll adjust it. So the CD drive goes a few times, it sort of powers up, shuts down, powers up, does that kind of process. Just trying to search for a boot disk, and there you go, there's the screen booting up. Obviously you won't find a disk because there's no disk in it, and of course the flex cable. Disk is sitting over here on the bench. Give it my danger mouse cup. But the screen itself looks fine. I don't like how slow the fans are turning. I'm hoping that will come right once it's got a system installed, but I've got some ideas, some modifications to actually improve the cooling on this thing to try and prevent the GPU issue occurring to this machine. There you go, so there's the question mark, so it's booting, you know, it's getting that far. It does boot to the system and stuff, so when I have the flash drive in there, it just takes forever being a flash drive. But yeah, this is actually very flexible. See, it twists so much like that. Not a very rigid body, is it? Anyway, so yeah, it works. So I did quite well like that one. I didn't pay that much for that machine. It is, you know, in the hope that it wouldn't be too bad, and I took a good gamble there, and it paid off. Although I've still got to solve the charging problem with the battery, but I think it is just the battery itself. I've got it sitting over here now. I've just got the probes resting on those terminals, and we'll see if it brings the battery back or not. I've got 11 milliamps going in, but you know, it's going to take hours and hours to bring that back, I think, if it's got that much power going in. If it's even going to the battery pack, it might be going just to the electronics that are inside it. Who knows? But, yeah, so I'm happy with this. But my thoughts on improvements to this to improve the thermal characteristics is you got these are the heat sinks come up here, and those are the actual radiators which the fans blow through. Try and get more shot so you can see what I'm talking about, and maybe get the lighting glare off so you can see as well. I don't know. I do. Alright, so there's the radiators there which the fan blows through in order to cool it down. Right now, I think the reason these have GPU issues is the design fault. Not so much the GPU having a design problem. I think the machine has a design problem, because you've got the CPU right here, and that's got all the heat the CPU generates goes up the heat pipes. Right, the GPU is here, so it goes, all the heat from the CPU goes past the GPU. So the GPU's already got hot coming through, right? Try and dissipate that heat. So this is in the middle between here and here. So the heat from the CPU is adding to the heat from the GPU. That's what's wrong. I should have had independent pipes. So I should have one pipe go to the GPU, one pipe go to the CPU. That would have been better. That way it would have been isolated from each other, and they wouldn't be adding to each other's heat. So I think that's what they've actually done wrong here, is to design the heat pipes wrong. I may take this board out and have a look. But my idea, if I can find it, I'll go and have a quick look, see if I can find it. I'll come back. Right, my idea involves this stuff. These are thermal pads. Right, you can get them in different thicknesses. I've got a few different ones. This is one I grabbed. Now these are used as heat sinking. Right, so instead of using heat sink paste, you use a thermal pad. Right, it's just cleaner. It's not quite as efficient as thermal paste, I don't think, but it's you know, it's still good. Now what I'm thinking of doing is on unconductive stuff as well, obviously, is, well, if I put some thermal pads like this on top of the CPU on this side and on top of the GPU on this side and the VRAM stuff, I could put that, basically probably a couple of squares of it to the correct height, like that, on top of those devices, and then when you've got the cover on, it will heatsink to this cover slightly. Right, it might be a huge amount, you know, it'll be over here, right? But it means it will transfer some heat to this cover and take a little bit more heat away. It won't be a lot, but it might take, you know, a couple of degrees away, which is going to be helpful in improving longevity. Right. And I was also thinking, if I were to take this board out, to be honest, I can't be bothered taking it out, but if I took that board out, I could probably do the same thing on the other side and dissipate heat straight off the heat pipes to the keyboard. Right, so in the top cover becomes heat sinking as well. Right, so you get some hot spots on the bottom and on the top, but I don't care. I don't want the GPU to blow up. So if I put some of this thermal pad both sides, it will suck a bit more heat out, and it will just help to cool it down a bit more efficiently. You know, everything that helps to get a bit of cooling out is going to be good. So there you go. I've taken the board out, and that's what it looks like on the other side. So again, my theory here is to stick some heat pads on there. You can see the two pipes coming up. Right, so both devices are sharing the pipes. They should have done one pipe to the CPU, one pipe to the GPU. You know, or three pipes maybe. You know, two to the CPU, one to the GPU. Something like that. It could have, there's space there to put more pipes in. They could have done it. But anyway, it's the way I did it, and I don't think I did a very good job on that. So let's just measure this thermal pad and see what size it is, so you know what size to use if you want to use the same one. 2mm. Okay, so there we go, I've got a square sitting there. We'll just see if the casing will feel like it's sitting on it or not. I think it is. I think that's about the right size too. So it looks like 2mm, top and bottom, is about the right size. So that's excellent. Alright, so that's that installed. Let's power the thing up and check it out. See if I can feel any heat coming through from anywhere. In theory I should be able to feel heat both sides, you know, so any kind of heat sinking I can give those chips the better, you know, because such a design flaw by Apple is just ridiculous. Shouldn't have to upgrade it like that, but anyway, here's what it is really. So the thermal pads are really soft, they just conform to whatever surface they're put on really, so I'm not worried about them being squashed. In fact, you want them to be squashed to make sure contact, so there you go, it still boots fine. So just want to see if I can feel any heat coming anywhere. It might take a little while, so I might leave that running for a little bit, and just leave that over there so it's not getting pulled. I'll leave that going for a little while and I'll come back after it's warmed up a bit. Okay, so rather than doing this subjectively by just touching it, I've got my thermal camera out. Although it's not a great camera, it gives you an idea, and you can actually see the hot spot on the keyboard there now. Alright, so there's the rest of the unit. Alright, nothing really showing up. Being aluminium and shiny, it's not great for doing thermal imaging on, but you can see the hot spot right there. Alright, what my finger is, which is right where I put that thermal pad. Alright, so I feel a little bit of warmth there. So that's good because I'm trying to get the heat out of that area. So what are we getting there? So it's not too hot either. It's only about 32 degrees or so. Alright. So that's working. You can actually see the heat pipes. At the top you can see the edges there for the heat pipe cooling. But yeah, so you can see now you got that thermal image there, which is going to be hopping. I can actually feel a little bit of warmth there. And that's fine, I don't mind that. Let's just do the other side. Try and show you that too. Right, same deal. A bit further away so you can see a bit better. Right, so there's nothing there, you can just see the foot there. I might give you an idea of scale. You bring it over, and there you go. There's a hot spot right there. Try and get it out of the lighting. Right. Oh, there goes my probes for charging the battery. But there's a hot spot there. Right, what's that? Again, about 32 degrees. Alright, so, and that's right there. Right, we'll put the pads. So that is sucking some heat out as well. It's excellent. So extra heat sinking is always a good thing on these machines, by the looks of it. So I might actually do a little video just showing that. Maybe change camera angles a little bit. But yeah, it works nice. Right, so I pulled a battery here out of another machine which I've picked up, which is also broken. I was going to try a different battery, because I know that battery there definitely doesn't charge. So I'm just trying this one. See what happens. Green light on. Orange light, excellent, it's starting to charge. Let's check voltages. See what's going on. So there's some data lines. That's a data line there, that's pulsing. And there's another one over here that's also pulsing. So that's communicating. There's a battery voltage, 9.16 volts. And creeping up. So excellent. So that is actually charging that battery up. Because the other battery, it just does nothing. You see communication on the data lines, but it doesn't actually charge. The orange light doesn't come on and the voltage stays at the full voltage, but it's obviously not drawing any current. So the charging is obviously controlled within the battery itself, because even though there's voltage there from the machine, the current isn't going into the battery. So I think it's got like a MOSFET or something within the battery as well to actually control the charging. It seems that way. Or maybe it's communication which tells it to charge or something, I don't know. But yeah, this one's actually charging, so yay. At least I know the charging circuit of this machine also works. That's good. So this is actually out of a 2012 model, but it's the same battery. At least I believe it is. It works anyway. Model numbers, let's have a look. A1382, A1382. So yeah, same battery. So that's good. So at least I know putting a new battery in this will get this machine fully going once I've got this new cable sorted out. Anyway, so I've got a brand new flex cable here, and the idea is I'll replace this and restore the thing to function. Now I don't have a hard drive for this yet. I'll have to look at what I'm going to do with it, but it's all pretty simple. Get this unscrewed. So this little bracket here is what holds the hard drive in. Always two brackets, but there you go. Pop that out. So the flex is on that end of it as well, attached to it. I'm going to pull this up. I've just got to take these two screws out here which hold it in, which are very tight. Probably the original cable. So here we go, there's a flex and a bracket. Okay, so that's all pretty simple. Now what we're going to do now is unclip this little lever here, like that, because we've got this separate piece for the indicator on the front panel. Now this little board here is, I'll get a bit closer, you can see, that's what comes off with the flex, this board here. Alright, so that's what needs to be replaced. So I need to get under it with this. Pop that out. Like so. Now because I've released that, I should be able to slide that little cable there out. That should just come out of it quite easily. There we go. Alright, so keep this piece, throw this piece away. Alright, so we get the new one. Be very careful with these, don't kink them, don't put any stress on them that you don't need to. They're very fragile. So now we've got to put that same little piece back onto here and reinsert that little flex. I do think it might be easier to put the flex in first before we actually attach it, but get the little lever up. Yep, lever's up. the backing off. So maybe I'll stick it down first. It goes in easy enough. But I'll try and see if I can get it on. If I can get the cable slid in first, then it'll be easier. I'm trying to feed it in after. There we go, it's in. Great. And I can stick that in there and line it up. Just like so. Put the little locking lever bit down. Okay, so that flex there is sitting up a little bit high. Hopefully it will sit down once it's had a chance to relax a little bit. Okay, so that's all back into my place. Right, so that's that part. One of the hardest bits is actually putting this flex here back into here. So when you pull this one off, you can see it in the light or not. Might be able to see it. There we go. Right, you can see the adhesive is still stuck there. So if you leave that there, you can use it as a guide for when you put this piece back in again. Alright, so you can drop that in and put the screws back in it. That way that piece is secured. And then that should naturally want to go into the right place as long as it's the correct cable. It should all be. Alright. So we've also got these screws which have to go into there, and it has to be bent around that frame, but you have to do it really carefully. You mustn't do it too tightly, you mustn't go backwards and forwards with it or anything like that. Okay, so stick that down first, get it lined up, and it should all just fall into the right place. Now this piece here also sticks in. Right, again you do that afterwards though, because it stops down to there. Alright. And this actually shows you where to bend it. So it's got those lines in there. So if you bend it on those lines, it should actually be in about the right places. Okay, like that. But again, you don't want to put too much stress on it. You only need to do as much as you need to get the thing in there. Alright. So let's peel this sticker off and lay it down. And hopefully you don't get it wrong. Try and get it lined up along the line before you try and lay it down. Alright, same thing there, get it lined up along the line, and there we go, that's in. So you've got these two screws which hold it down, put those in. Don't not too tight, just got to hold it down. Don't yank on them or anything, or you might end up damaging the flex. I do worth the flex out. Okay, then I'll sit there like that, and that's where it sticks in. So that's all perfect. So now let's peel this off. It all lines up nicely. Stick that in there, so it's definitely lining up to the right place. Then just lay it down. Done. Okay. What I've got to do now is get a hard drive and mount it in there and test it. So it's as easy as that. It's actually really easy to change that flex. You just have to firstly get them. That in itself is sometimes a bit of a challenge, but this is actually marked as Foxconn, so it's original Apple part too, looks of it, which is good. And yeah, but it's a case of just being a little bit careful, planning ahead a little bit, figuring out exactly how you got to do it, and it's all good, you know. Main thing is to be really careful with the new one, because as I say, they are very fragile. Actually, I'm pretty sure this is the hard drive that was in this machine, because I've been working on a few machines recently. I'm pretty sure this is the one that was in it. So I might actually just plug this in and try it out and see if it's actually going to boot on it. It might not. But it's only a fairly small drive. What's it, 160 gig is it? Yeah, 160 gig drive. But if it works, it works. Okay, so that's in there. Let's try booting it and see if it will actually boot up. Let's put this underneath it so it's got some airflow. Something non-conductive, which is sitting on the battery. And we have a boot. The Apple logo. Let's try and go, see what happens. Hopefully this one doesn't have a graphics problem. I don't think it has a graphics problem, I'm pretty sure I already checked for that. So I've worked on a few machines recently, so I'm not quite sure which one's which. So, but let's say this is the first time I've used this particular drive. This one that's I think it was in this machine. So I don't know what's on it. It might be a fresh install, it might be something else, it might be someone's old install, I really don't know. Purely for testing. Any machines I'll keep, I'll convert to SSD anyway, because it's just far superior. Speed wise, it's a phenomenal difference. So it's halfway, it's going to keep going. Let's just check the fans. Yeah, fans are going okay. Oh no, it says no system. It might be the wrong system for this machine, it might not be at this machine. But sometimes you get that and it will start again. Actually, just reboot it. I want to try and get something out of it. The drive probably needs reinstalling. So there's only one partition on there as well. So, oh well, I'll have to figure that out later on. But it's recognising the drive, it's trying to boot from the drive, so that's definitely working. So, progress. I think I can call that computer fixed once I get the thing to actually boot up properly. And I've installed a system on it now boots up. And it's working perfectly, the graphics look fine. So, yeah, at least internal graphics look fine. I haven't plugged an display on external or anything like that, but I don't think I've actually got a display connector for that, to be honest. But it works absolutely fine. So that was a bit of a success, that one. Picked it up fairly cheaply. Replaced the hard drive flex, giving it a bit of a service, clean up, that sort of thing, and wiped the hard drive and installed a new system on it from scratch. And it's fine. Now this is obviously a spinning hard drive, the traditional type, not an SSD, so it's a bit slow to boot. I'm not going to worry about putting SSDs in anything which I'm not going to keep. So I don't know if I'm going to keep this one yet. If I do keep it, I'll change it to an SSD. But I've got a collection of Macs here now, and I'm basically just going to see what I end up putting together and choosing the right thing. So there we go, one booted computer, and I'll use a nice secure password, and we're in. As you can see, it's working just fine. Battery charge just showing everything like that. It's all good, right? So that's a success. I'm very happy with that. Bit lucky because I'm started up. It's still probably indexing itself and stuff like that. You know how to do. It's a bit slow when you first get them going, because they're indexing and searching up the search database and stuff like that. But yeah, don't you see a little spinny thing as it's shutting down. It's all good. So that is one working computer. So I've now got two working MacBook 15-inch computers of exactly the same version. Both had relatively minor faults. So this is the first one I got, as I said, and the second one was a bit more involved, but not too bad. And yeah, they both work. Excellent. No graphics problems so far. We'll see how the other ones go.